Okay, welcome to the Quixotic Heights Podcast, where we explore the stories behind the storytellers and discover the courage, creativity, and resilience that shape extraordinary lives.
Today, we're turning the microphone around. Usually, our guest answers the questions, but in this episode is all about the woman behind the podcast.
Mm-hmm. A quick intro about me. Shelley Malicote-Stutchman from Season 1, Episode 10 of the Quixotic Heights Podcast. I'm the author of Peekaboo, Uncovering Breast Cancer, and I'm working on 3 other books, which I know I should just work on one and get it done.
And I'm Jennifer Mangini from Season 1, Episode 2. I'm the author of A Shadow of Me. And what I'm helping to do today is talk to my publisher, Amy Lee.
Joining us is Amy M. Lee, award-winning author of the Snow Trilogy, founder and CEO of Quill Publishing, and a passionate advocate for preserving diverse voices and untold stories. Amy's journey spans traditional, self, and hybrid publishing, giving her a unique perspective in the ever-changing publishing landscape. With 15 books to her name and a highly anticipated memoir, From Broken to Brave, Memoir of a Heart Warrior, releasing June 30th, 2026, Amy has dedicated her life to transforming adversity into purpose.
And beyond her work as an author and publisher, Amy serves as the Board Emeritus member of the Vietnamese Boat People, helping preserve the stories and legacy of the Vietnamese refugees. She is co-founder of the Heart Community Collection, a collaborative initiative that empowers the Heart Warriors and their families to share their experiences through storytelling.
Today, we'll explore Amy's publishing journey, the lessons she's learned as an entrepreneur, and the inspiration behind her upcoming memoir, and the impact she hopes to leave on future generations of writers and readers.
I'm Jennifer Mangini.
And I'm Shelley Malicote-Stutchman, and this is
Quixotic Heights Podcast. Welcome, Amy. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much, you two, for the wonderful introduction.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Amy, let's start with your Quixotic Heights dream. Can you share that with us?
You know, my dream has evolved over the years. You know, at first, I just wanted to be seen. I wanted to fit in. I just wanted to be American, right? Because I came from a Vietnamese refugee background. And then that evolved into just, you know, wanting to follow my mom's lead with education, getting a degree, starting a new life, living the American dream with the house, the car, and 2.5 kids or whatever it is, right? But when my mom passed away and I pivoted to writing, I really thought that, oh my gosh, I'm going to be the next, you know, New York Best Times, whatever seller. I think a lot of us writers have that dream. But in some ways, you know, God told me that that's not the path for me. And now, as an owner of a hybrid publishing company, my dream truly is to get more stories out there, to amplify those diverse voices, to, you know, lower that barrier to publication. And I've been living that dream for the past few years. So thank you for that question.
I love that. Amy, I have a question for you that's a little bit off the beaten path of what we were originally going to talk about, but we had a conversation the other day that really just touched my heart. And what I wanted to ask you was regarding, you know, Vietnamese refugees, and I guess just any refugee from another country. What's a way to help you and others really feel seen in a daily basis, or just what's a way that you can what's a good way to be seen, I guess, or how can I support you?
That's a good question. And I think when you're unrooted,
Yeah.
um, your country and the community that you have known for most of your life, or some of your life, um, you get lost in the shuffle of things. And I think to be seen is to be understood, and
Mm,
that might take the form of, sharing a meal together. You and me sitting down, and I can introduce you to a Vietnamese dish of mine.
yes.
You can ask me questions about my language, and my culture, my traditions, my beliefs, and and then just sharing that with other people, sharing those
Yeah.
stories and that experience. And in that sense, I think it's a great way to have us feel seen, and I think with you and with Shelley as well, you've got your experiences, and like when you wrote your books,
Yeah.
hopefully through your readers, you felt seen, and heard. And I feel like the more we share our stories, which is why I have written 15 or published
Yeah.
15 and on to my 16th, because our stories are always being written, right? And there's always more
Yes.
to share, and you learn new things, you have different lenses. And yeah, so thank you for that question. I really appreciate it.
Definitely. Definitely. Thank you for answering that.
Yes.
Well, Amy,
Shelley.
I know a little bit about your life from reading the Snow Trilogy. And oh my goodness, there were so many difficulties that you
Mm,
overcame, so many challenges. But in writing your memoir, was there a chapter that was especially difficult for you to write?
mm.
Yes. So I'm turning 52 years old this summer, which is when my book is going to be published, is actually July 30th. And I kept holding off on publishing the book because there was a chapter in my life where I completely blanked out. I couldn't remember what happened. And I couldn't find out what happened because I had lost touch with my college roommate for decades, 20 plus years. She had the key, the answer to this chapter. And
Mm.
surprisingly, Facebook, after trying to find her, and she trying to find me, one day Facebook gives me a friend suggestion, and I'm like, oh my God. So I immediately
Aw.
book a flight to Seattle, Tacoma, Washington, actually. I spend a few days with her, and we reconnect as sisters, and share our stories. And she tells me exactly what happens. And um, it's a tough one. It's when I, was sexually assaulted in college. So, Shelley, that was the hardest chapter to write. And I share it
Yeah.
with everybody in my book, because, through that experience, I learned a lot and
Yeah.
was able to heal in time. And I share with my readers, how I was able to do that, how my mind shifted in terms of how
Yeah.
I thought about myself. So yeah, I knew I was gonna cry on this one. But memoirs are powerful, and you don't have to write just one memoir, because there can be different themes, different stages in your life to share. They're all powerful, right? But I think the most meaningful memoirs are ones where you're willing to go deep and confront
Yeah.
some of your fears and your past traumas, in the hopes that, not only do you heal, right, but your readers heal as well. So,
Boy, we
Aw.
thank you for sharing that part that was so difficult. That part I didn't know because I hadn't learned about that in your other books. So I'll be looking forward on July 30th to purchase your book and have Amazon have it at my doorstep the next day.
thank you, Shelley.
She'll drive over and sign it for you, I'm sure.
Yeah, I know where you live. Um,
Well, thank you for sharing that, Amy. I think that that's um very obviously it's a very difficult subject, and when it becomes not just a subject, when it becomes something that's a memory, that's even more traumatic. But it's even more healing to be able to go through and be able to go beyond and look at your life, what happens after the fact. And I think that's very brave of you to be able to say, yeah, look at me now, you know. And um, I not the same situation, but I from my standpoint with my book, A Shadow of Me, when people look at me in just, I don't want to say awe, but when they look at me like, wait, what? And when I tell them I was homeless, and an addict on the street, it's such a great feeling for me to look at myself through their eyes and not see that person at all.
Yeah.
And you're certainly not that person, to any of us. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
But I do have a question for you.
Yes.
What inspired you to create Quill Hawk Publishing?
I actually, okay, here's the story. I'm plugging along. I'm, doing things that I think I'm supposed to be doing, promoting my work on social media. And by work, I mean my books.
Right.
And I'm a friend with somebody on social media on a cooking page, and one day he reaches out to me. This is Lock Bowie. He reaches out to me and he says, Amy, I love your hustle, but you're doing it wrong. Let me help you. And I'm like, what? Tell me. And so he starts asking me questions, and I'm answering them. And he's like, you know so much more than you give yourself credit for. And why aren't you sharing this knowledge with people? And I'm like, I don't know. You just go through your life, you assume everybody knows what they need to know. He's like, hey, if I build you a website, will you launch a business? And we go back and forth. But at the end of the day, I'm like, build me a sexy website and then we'll talk. 4 or 5 months later, this sexy website, the Quill Hawk Publishing website, is done. And it's not completely done, 75% done, but he's like, you got to launch now. You can't just wait until it's perfect. And that's one of the things I learned was don't wait until it's 100% because it's never going to be 100%. So we launch, and thankfully, I start meeting people who have this dream to publish, and lo and behold, I have the knowledge to help them get there. And yeah, and the name Quill Hawk Publishing, I'm a Seahawks fan. And as part of the elite super fans, you have a super or a hawk name, and mine was Quill Hawk. There's actually a book somewhere out there that actually has all of the hawk names in this book, and I'm in there as well. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to go for it. I'm going to call it Quill Hawk Publishing.
Love it.
Thank you.
To know Amy, and Jen, you'll agree with me, you real quickly find out she's a powerhouse.
Yes.
So you have built a publishing company while maintaining your own writing career, and you have a little thread where all of us authors can talk to you at any time, day or night. And I'll be dang if I write something at 2 a.m., she answers. So she never sleeps, I don't think. But no. So how do you balance your career and you're being a CEO and you being a wife and a mother?
I will say that I don't. And it's one of the biggest misconceptions, and I have this in my book too, is, there is no such thing as work-life balance in the sense that we think of, okay, I've got 4 hours of work, 4 hours of, family, 4 hours of play, whatever. Life doesn't work that way. But there's going to be rhythms and seasons in our life, right? Where there's going to be more work than there is more play, or vice versa. And I was in Vietnam for 3 weeks. That was my playtime. But outside of that, I'm working 24/7, responding to you at 2 a.m. because that's part of being an entrepreneur. You work constantly to try to build a brand and build a business. And when it's just you, yourself, and I, whatever, me, myself, and I, Yeah, it's go, go, go. So when you ask me about balancing all of this, I don't, but I'm also lucky to have such a supportive network of friends and family. I'm lucky because my son is, 17 and he's independent. He's living in another state right now doing his thing. My husband travels every single week, so if I'm lucky, I'll see him on the weekend. Other than that, my responsibility is to myself and to the pets that I care for, and they're easy, they so yeah, I mean, work-life balance, y'all, it's a misconception, but there is a way to balance it all if you understand the seasons and rhythms of your life.
But Jen, before you ask your question, I've got to do a follow-up question on this.
Wait.
Do you sleep?
I don't know if I do actually, to be honest with you, because to fall asleep, I have to listen to a podcast or an audiobook or something. But then I'm focusing on the voice, right? And then it filters into my life where I'm like, oh, I need to write a character based on this voice, or and so I sleep, but am I in REM sleep? No, sadly. Yeah.
Well, I do know a few podcasts, one in particular that you'd love to listen to.
Oh,
Get
mine?
it? But I also, as a nurse, I will tell you that REM sleep is important. So the balance of that is going to be beneficial to keep you around for a long time. But
Yeah.
speaking of time, I have a question about your family's immigration journey. Certainly a huge beginning chapter of your life, and part of it was the beginning chapter of your life. But what from that journey continues to guide your work today?
I am more plugged in to the communities now that I serve. And I wouldn't have been serving them if I didn't go down this path of trying to
Mm,
unearth everything and learn about my ancestry and my heritage, my roots. Um, I think had my mom not passed and I wrote Snow in Vietnam to get to today, I probably would still be working at Microsoft or T-Mobile or Red Bull, like one of the tech, big companies, corporations, still doing that grind, chasing that golden handcuff, dollar for retirement and everything, and not really taking the time to get plugged into my culture.
mm,
And since since I've published and since I've been, speaking and stuff, um, I am just more aware, I guess, of
mm,
how others are living outside of my own personal bubble. And it's such a
right.
beautiful, beautiful, eye-opening gift to receive.
Well, Amy,
I
I know
like
you
that.
co-founded the Heart Community Collection, and this is going to be a two-part question for you. First of all, can you tell the audience a little bit about your own experience with heart problems and how storytelling to you has become a form of healing?
Yeah. So, when I had before my surgery, which I had my open heart surgery in the United States in Seattle when I had just turned 6. I couldn't keep food down. I was constantly blue, um, very frail, and just weak. Post-surgery, there was a different thing I had to contend with. I had to contend with my scar. Now there's this ugly, 6, 8 inch zipper running down the front of me. But on the other hand, I'm able to run, I'm able to not feel so out of breath that I can actually walk up and down the stairs. So to this day, I still am out of breath. And it's one of those invisible illnesses that people don't see. They look at me and I
Yeah.
look healthy. Um, but I always have to take rest breaks. I can't climb up the Mount Everest or anything like that. But it doesn't mean I can't do those things. I just have to manage it. I have to do an alternative route. I have to do, some kind of adjustment. And to your second part of the question in terms of, storytelling and why it's important, the more we hold something inside of us, the more toxic it is. And it's not only for our physical, physiological, whatever mental well-being, but it's toxic in terms of how we treat others, how we raise our children, how we interact with our community. And two rights don't make a wrong, right? And so I think through storytelling, not only are we releasing all that toxic and trauma inside of us, but clearly, our experiences can help others and inspire others and motivate others. It could be just a simple story as like, I got up today, I decided to try a new recipe, and it turned out fabulous. And maybe that inspires someone to get back in the kitchen and cook a meal for themselves. And maybe they'll choose a healthy meal instead of the usual boxed meal,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think storytelling is so powerful. Thank you.
Really. I like that. If you were the host today, and you were so let's say you're here, and I'm there, but I've already been there. So let's just say that you're here and there. What question would you ask?
Myself?
Yeah.
I guess I would ask myself, what I could have said to my younger self at
Aw.
all the stages of my life.
Yeah.
I shared with you that I was, sexually assaulted in college. I also had to deal with an abortion because of that. That was traumatic. I also was married to a very abusive man. Also traumatic.
Yes.
So I think with every stage, I would have loved to have revisited my younger self.
Yes.
Talk to her. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I think that's an amazing question. And I think that's so true. We go through life and we forget who we are in a lot of times that we're going through things. We just get so stuck on the here and now. And yes, it's important to live in the here and now, but not to the point where it's detrimental to who you are as a person. And if any of us could go back, Shelley, I know with I only know part of your story, but I would think that I'm sure at some point, if you could go today back and just say, hey, it's going to be okay. Just keep doing it, keep getting up. And Amy, you if you could go back and just say, girl, you got this. You're the little badass with that 1997 Toyota Supra. Don't forget who you are. Just keep going. And myself in my own situations, I think it's so true that everybody ages, but not everybody gains wisdom. And if we can have that wisdom in any part, and some of that wisdom is knowing that we never actually grow up. We always just continue to keep going somehow, but yeah, I think that's you hit it on the nail head there.
What I'd like to see is I'd like to see the three of us go back in time together. Maybe this is a fiction novel that Shelley's going to write for us.
Ooh, I'll jump in on that.
Yeah, right. 3 friends go back in time and talk to their younger self, and
yes,
it changes the trajectory maybe of their life. But,
absolutely. I will. I know we're on a schedule, but I'll tell you, I had, when I was in the worst of my time, and I was homeless and just, I told you the other day, I felt like I was a zombie because people would just avoid me, but more than one time, I don't know if they were angels or if there's, God just touched people's hearts, but they would like more than one time, specifically one time, I was walking out of a 7-Eleven. I think I was trying to jack some candy or something. And, and this lady walks up and grabs both of my arms and says, "You are not where you're supposed to be." And I was like, "Whoa, who are you? Get off of me," But, she looked at my soul and she was like, I don't remember exact words, but it was something like that. Maybe God knew I couldn't go back and say something, but definitely, there was an angel there that day that just said, just get out of, get out of your head and, fix this. So,
I love that.
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that story because I agree in divine intervention. I believe in messages from the other side, an
Oh,
angel.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Just for someone to randomly say that to you, totally out of
It was,
context, out of the blue. Yeah.
yeah. And more than one time. But it was always like that. It was always a, you. And it was like, what are you looking at? Me? Nobody sees me. I am a zombie. Did you not hear the message? And but no, it was spot on exactly, and talk to my heart and soul that day, and but yeah.
And you were receptive, which is sometimes we're not receptive to,
Eventually.
yeah,
I
I mean,
wasn't receptive
angels can
that
be like
day.
throwing things at us, numbers, whatever messages. If we're blind to see and not receptive,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we are
Yeah.
zombies.
Exactly. But anyway, I think that was a great question you just asked. Shelley, I think you have a fun part coming up.
Well, Jen, I agree. That was a great question. I give you the co-host first prize for coming up with that. And Amy, your response when reading a little bit about you in your Snow Trilogy, there were so many times I just wanted to reach out and hug you. And
Oh,
today, when you were
absolutely.
telling this, I wanted to reach to the screen and give you a hug. So know you are hugged. But now
Yes.
we're ready for the fun lightning round. I feel like a game show person.
They are.
Love it.
Okay. I love this question and I'm so curious. What is a word people use too often?
Oh my gosh, a word that but.
Okay.
B-U-T. I'm trying so much better to not use that word and replace it with the word and because when we use that but word, it negates anything before it.
Yes.
And then it's not a truth, right? And so yes, I think that's my word. But
well, as a publisher, do you see many of us authors using that word too much?
no, I think mostly it is trying to get too fancy with the dialogue tags. It's okay to say he said, she said. It doesn't have to be always he remarked, he emphasized, he exclaimed, he questioned. Yeah, just simple because the reader's going to skip over it anyway. But if the reader needs to know who's speaking, those dialogue tags help. And it's also helpful for your narrator if you go the audiobook route.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, the next question in our lightning round, if you could have dinner with any three authors, living or dead, who would they be? And you can pass over Jen and I because it won't hurt our feelings and we already know we would be chosen.
Absolutely.
Three authors. Okay. That's a hard one. Can I just do one?
Yeah, you can just do one.
You can throw Shelley and I in there and just get one more.
Yeah, okay. You two are the first two. I think right now I would like to sit down with J.K. Rowling. And because I really want to know how she did it. Like, some of it is luck, some of it is like real smarts, knowing how to negotiate your contract. And it's like every single time I turn around, there's another Harry Potter something. And the merch, the plays on Broadway, the music, like all of that. So yes, I would love to pick her brains, and then I would love for her to take me somewhere fun.
And we know you have lots of superpowers, but what do you consider your main superpower?
I am very, very patient, I think.
Oh,
And I will sit there and listen and listen and listen. And if they want feedback, if they want advice, if they want whatever, then I'll give that to them. But I'm really good about being patient, even when it comes to like if I submit something, I just let it go and I move on to something else, right? While things are happening in the background. And if one day I get an email that says, you won, that's great. That's a beautiful surprise to have because in today's world, sometimes we don't get a lot of those good surprises. And
Right.
yeah, so that's my answer.
and
It's cool.
what are you dreaming about next?
A retreat, a Quill Hop Publishing retreat, which is
Yes.
actually already in the works. Terry Godfrey, thank you. One of our authors has been visiting Medicine Park.
Yes.
Mhm.
And yes, and so he's been doing some reconnaissance for us and checking out the space and kind of, we've been talking about the agenda and how the things are going to flow. So yeah, I would love to do a retreat in March of 2027.
Okay, last quick question.
Nice.
What makes you laugh?
My dog. She is the sweetest, the cutest. She's a pocket bully. She's 5 years old. And it's just the way she sits or sploots or looks at you, or just, it tugs my heart. And aren't pets just wonderful?
Hmm.
Some people don't find any value in them. I personally think they are God's gift and will love you through thick and thin. So, yeah, my
Yes.
dog. Thank you.
Are there any topics you'd like to spotlight that we haven't touched on?
I wouldn't mind doing a reading from my new book that's coming out
Please
July
do.
30th. And I won't go into the hard chapters, but I can read the the introduction
Hmm.
if you're down
Yes,
for
please
that.
do. Yes.
Okay. Let me just pull it up. Whew. And actually, I'm going to go to Tulsa for a few days and record my memoir. Um,
Mm.
Yes, so Rant 9 is going to be producing my memoir, and I'm excited to go out there and read it for y'all and get it published. But okay, so the introduction starts with a quote from Confucius, Chinese philosopher, and it says, "We have two lives. The second one begins when we realize we only have one." So 9 months before the fall of Saigon, I am born into this world, blue and silent, as if I already know what life has in store for me. Breathing does not come easily for me. Taking up space in this world comes with many challenges. The doctors in the sleepy province of Tra Vinh, Vietnam, say to my mom, "There's something wrong with your baby. She will be lucky to see her fifth birthday." It isn't until I am 6 years old that my mom learns what is wrong with me. Atrial septal defect, a hole between the upper chambers of my heart. That is the label I carry with me as I enter elementary school in Kent, Washington, along with other labels like midget, chink, retard. I guess the Vietnamese doctors are right. I am lucky to see my fifth birthday, only I don't have a birthday party. Our family is too busy making sense of how we woke up one day in a foreign land called America. The kids in Springbrook Elementary School are all bigger than me. "What's wrong with you?" they ask. "Why are you so short and brown?" "She's not brown, she's yellow," another child calls out. The kids erupt in laughter. The taunting begins. "Maybe she's a midget." "What's the matter? Cat got your tongue?" So I write my memoir in the present tense because I want the story to unfold for you, dear reader. As it unfolds for me, my story is still being written, and so is yours. This memoir is written in two parts. The first part, From Broken, shares parts of my life in which I feel broken and lost. The second part, Too Brave, shares the lessons I've learned and is a war cry for all of you warriors out there who have a roar inside of you. Be brave. My mother, Lê Ngọc Tuyết, does not accept what the Vietnamese doctors prophesize. She does not argue with the sky or the people in power. Quiet, persistent, certain, she prays for the Father, to the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, the ancestors, and Buddha. And just for good measure, she talks to the birds, the cats, the ants, and the mice, like she's Cinderella and Snow White all in one. They can determine the fate of her little blue baby, not the doctor. Death knocks early and often. Saigon falls and our little family survives however we can under the new communist regime. Ultimately, we flee Vietnam in a shrimp boat meant for a dozen but carries 43 souls. Bullets chase us into the open sea. Thai pirates wait beyond the horizon. Disease swarms us at the refugee camp. I am 5 years old, clinging to my mother's waist. My defective heart hammers against her spine. I survived the fall of Saigon, the boat escape, the disease-infested refugee camps, but time is running out. My heart is a ticking time bomb. In America, the land of coupons, canned soup, and confusing freedom, I collapsed at the top of a staircase, 13 steps down. A light blue dress with white polka dots is all I can see as I tumble. The smooth, lightweight plastic feel of my dress drapes my face. The smell of cheese and sweat envelops me as my Mary Jane shoes betray me, slipping off my left foot that is warm inside my white tights. I wake up at Seattle Children's Hospital. My chest has been carved open. An 8-inch zipper runs down my sternum like a railroad track. A miracle scar, they say, a heart warrior's seam. I see it as another one of Frankenstein's doing. Now, I am even more broken, with a hideous worm-looking thing running down the middle of my torso. Dr. Dale Hall repairs the hole in my heart during a 6-hour surgery. The pretty woman with the blonde hair draws pictures of my surgery and gives a copy of the illustrations to my mom. Somewhere between anesthesia and awakening, I cheat death again. Survival is my first language. Many people will come to know me for the Snow Trilogy, 3 books that chronicle my family's saga from Saigon to Seattle. Some will know me through the stories I'll publish for my authors with Quixotic Publishing. Few know the story of Lê Ngọc Thúy Tiên, a girl who goes from broken to brave and calls herself by different names in search of her identity. In elementary school, I am Dolly. In middle school and high school, I am Christine. After becoming a U.S. citizen, I become Amy. And in between, people will call me Nancy, bitch, whore, heartless, killer, retard, midget, freak, chink, shorty, stupid. This is my memoir and a reminder that I am not what happened to me. I am who I choose to be. I am not the labels, I am the sign. Some names in this memoir have been changed to protect their identity. To the best of my knowledge, I write my truth. The dialogue in this book is to evoke the sentiment and emotion of the event. No recording of the actual conversation exists, except in the case of my conversations with my dad and my college roommate, Rena. In those cases, the dialogue are transcribed verbatim as spoken. As some of the content in part 1 can be triggering, please do take care and proceed if you are well enough to continue without added stress and trauma to your well-being. Reward yourself by skipping ahead to part 2. Remember that warriors are not born, they are made, forged by life's hardest moments, transformed by perseverance, and empowered to rise again, stronger than before. Thank you. That is my introduction.
Wow. And that, of course, shows shows how powerful you are just in yourself. I'm excited to read it. I think it's going to be a wonderful book. And it's going to certainly show people who maybe look like me or look like you or look like Shelley or look like anyone, that whoever you are, wherever you come from, you're special. And, my heart breaks that that little girl was called any of those names.
Thank you. And my heart breaks for both of you. And you guys are baddies. You guys are badasses. And I hope our listeners take an opportunity to look for you online, find your books, read it. Mangini, I love you because you say it as it is. There's no holding back, and the world needs that. Sometimes we are too intimidated or whatever, and we just dance around things, and that's not helpful at all. And so for you to share your story about, being homeless for 5 years, being on drugs and alcohol and clawing your way back, is a testament to you, and your
Thank you.
human spirit, and Shelley, I love you too. I mean, your book, Peekaboo, first of all, it's a fun title, which I love because that already shows your sense of humor and your optimism in life. And truly, I think attitude plays a big part in healing, right? If we can be our own cheerleaders, to be able to go through all the things that you went through with the finances and the insecurities and the pain and the appointments and losing friends and oof. But girl, I've been watching you, and you're just a rock star, and there's
Yes,
more
she
to
is.
you. So I'm just so proud of you, both.
Thank you.
Proud of all three of us.
Yay.
Thank you for allowing me to read my story, and share my story. Do you guys have any other questions? Any burning things?
And Jen, you have one more question in your wrap up.
Where can people find you to learn more?
They can start with going to quillhawkpublishing.com on the internet. A simple Google search, Bing search, whatever your platform is, your search engine. Just search Amy M. Lee. Make sure the M is in there. There's a lot of Amy Lees out in the world. And yeah, and then you'll easily find us. But I'm on most platforms: Facebook, Instagram, a little bit of TikTok, LinkedIn. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to get real close to the camera because people listen to me. If you're an author, dreaming of being an author, join Quill Hawk Publishing because Amy has taken this business and made all of her authors a family, and that is so important. It's just been an amazing journey for all of us. Don't try to do it alone. Come to Quill Hawk Publishing. Set up a time with Amy to talk over how she could help you. Jen and I would not be friends if it was not for Quill Hawk Publishing, and I value this friendship. So, that said, well, listeners, that's a wrap. If today's conversation resonated with you, be sure to check out Amy's books, including the Snow Trilogy, and watch for the release From Broken to Brave, Memoir of a Heart Warrior on July 30th, not very far away, 2026.
Thank you for joining us. I'm not going to get too close to the camera. But thank you for joining us on this special episode of the Quixotic Heights Podcast. If you've enjoyed today's discussions, please subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with anyone and someone who needs a reminder that even our greatest challenges can become the foundation of our greatest purpose.
Until next time, y'all, keep reaching for your own Quixotic heights, those bold dreams that seem impossible until they're achieved. Thank you so much for tuning in, and to my two lovely hosts, Shelley and Jennifer Mangini. Thank you so much for being here. I do hope that everybody goes out and gets your books, and I'll make sure to include that in the show notes. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
And now a quick message from our sponsor. Thanks for tuning in.
Are you burned out? Running on empty. Shift your mind and the rest will follow. From compassion fatigue to connection. And from singled out to celebrated. Want less chronic fatigue, apathy, outbursts, detachment, poor performance, and injuries? Want to learn to say no without guilt, set boundaries, regulate your vagus nerve, and gain confidence? Zen out, hike, visit friends, join a group, eat fresh, and stand tall. Once I learned to regulate my vagus nerve, my emotions improved, said Simone. Spending time in nature was a game changer for me, said Katie. CEU courses offered for licensed physical therapists and assistants, also courses without testing for the general public. So fall of 2026, go to dbrit.com to sign up for Running on Empty. Shift your mind and the rest will follow.